When we face challenges in relationships, consider that our problem might well be in our attachments to people and situations. Attachment styles that we develop in childhood continue into adulthood, affecting our partner selection and how we conduct ourselves in romantic relationships. People who make us feel loved, wanted, or secure for a while, but perhaps not all the time. This creates a cycle of attachment and consequently of suffering as we become dependent on external sources of validation and pleasure. They say freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. In a world entangled in often destructive relationships, obsessed with fulfilling desires at any cost, what if the true path to happiness was in letting go? In this episode, we'll uncover the ancient wisdom and modern science behind detachment, revealing how the art of detachment and practicing letting go can positively transform your life and lead you to profound peace. Paradoxically, detachment helps you to get closer and have deeper intimacy with people, feel more genuine emotions and passion at a whole new level. In this episode, we'll dive into detachment and how to practice it. We'll explore what detachment really is, why detachment is a superpower, and actually, why mastering the art of detachment can profoundly shift your relationships for the better with just about anything or anyone. We'll also look at exactly what attachment is, the 4 types of attachment styles, what detachment is, and what it's not. I'll share my 6 practices for cultivating detachment and just what happens when you actually live with detachment. Welcome to the Self-Discovery Show. I'm Smita Joshi. I'm the author of the Amazon bestseller, The Karma and Diamonds Trilogy. It's a journey of self-discovery across continents and lifetimes. It's about finding the real you amidst life's chaos. I'm also a transformation coach and a certified yoga teacher. So the yogic teachings that I'm going to share with you work well with those relationships and situations that bring you repetitive drama, but rarely contentment and satisfaction. But equally, these yogic practices also work to take healthy aspects of your life to a whole new level of fulfillment. When we face challenges in relationships, consider that our problem might well be in our attachments to people and situations. And the solution might well be found in some of the most powerful things that I've learned over my last 35 years of yoga, meditation, and personal development. And that is the power of detachment. What exactly is attachment? To begin with, let's look at attachment by way of a scientifically validated theory. John Bowlby, a British psychologist, developed the attachment theory in the 50s at the Tavistock Institute in London. His colleague, Mary Ainsworth, helped him to develop the theory. According to the attachment theory, humans have an innate drive to connect with others. Bowlby defined attachment as a deep, enduring emotional bond that connects one person to another person across time and space. Mary Ainsworth identified 3 main types of attachment: secure, insecure, anxious, ambivalent, insecure, avoidant. As understanding has evolved, a 4th type has emerged called insecure, disorganized. The study found that attachment styles that we develop in childhood continue into adulthood, affecting our partner selection and how we conduct ourselves in romantic relationships. They found that there are 4 types of attachment styles. Let's delve a little bit deeper into what they found about these 4 attachment styles. The person with a secure attachment style had a warm, loving bond to their parent and so developed the ability to form healthy relationships with those around them. People who developed the avoidant style often didn't feel seen in their childhood and learned to accept that their emotional needs are likely to remain unmet. They grew up feeling unloved and insignificant.
What do you remember about your dad, huh?
He was cold, he was calculating. He never told me he loved me, he never even told me he liked me.
They often struggle with expressing their feelings, find it hard to understand emotions, and react defensively. As adults, they tend to avoid intimate relationships.
Could you leave me alone?
And it is kind of weird, and you haven't really told me why you're doing it, and we're still brother and sister.
Where avoidant types avoid intimate relationships, the anxious, ambivalent style fears being abandoned and also fears the loss of connection. That, by the way, was me. They distrusted their caregivers in childhood and so grew up anxious and uncertain about their environment. They seek constant validation and look for ways to avoid being abandoned. Anxious, ambivalent types often feel unloved and are more likely to become needy and emotionally dependent.
Resta a casa tutto il giorno. E poi andiamo al cinema, se no restiamo in casa come vuoi tu. Marcello, ma mi vuoi bene?
A combination of anxious and avoidant attachment is known as disorganized attachment. Having difficult relationship with their caregivers, these children are unpredictable, and even into adulthood, they're known to blow up with anger and rage. As adults, they avoid intimacy and have difficulties controlling their emotions. Come to think of it, I think that's also me. Does that mean, though, that if we grew up in dysfunctional households, we're doomed to fail in life? Definitely not. While the past participates in how we relate to life in the present, the past certainly does not have to dictate how we shape our future. In my own journey of healing the impact from my past traumas, one of the things that's become really clear is that regardless of attachment styles, it's the subconscious entanglement of attachment to people, things, and situations that's at the root cause of suffering, of disappointment and emotional pain. So the solution to the problem that attachment creates in our lives can be found not in science, but in India's philosophical teachings. The Sanskrit word upadan is used in relationship to attachment. Upadan means fuel or material cause. So consider that attachment is the fuel that energizes relationships and the situations that we find ourselves intricately connected to. When our attachment comes in healthy doses, our relationships work. When we're unconscious of the impact that our attachment has on individuals and life situations, then there's a chance that it becomes an unhealthy clinging, even a toxic craving. And because it's happening outside of your conscious awareness, you may not even identify it as clinging or craving. This is because attachment creates expectation, and expectation arises from what the ancient Indian seers called Maya. Maya is the veils of illusion. And with Maya, nothing is as it seems, say the Indian ancient Upanishads. Maya, they say, clouds your view by getting you thoroughly identified and entangled with the complexities of the mind and the body. So much so that you can't see beyond the entanglement of your attachments. What you see may appear utterly real, but given your veiled view, you're not able to see the full picture. So from inside the snare of Maya, enmeshed in expectations of others or from situations, it's all well and good while our expectations are being fulfilled. But when they're not, we feel disappointed, anger, resentment, and sadness. You feel disillusioned, disenchanted. And that's what Maya ultimately does for you. And that's also the trouble with attachment. In ancient Indian teachings, such as the Bhagavad Purana, attachment is said to be the source of our suffering. And it also tells us that it's our suffering that prevents us from experiencing nirvana. Nirvana meaning inner freedom, the highest state of happiness. So, what's the solution? Several of the ancient Indian texts, including the Bhagavad Gita, tell us about the power of living life with detachment. But the word detachment is so often misunderstood, conjuring up images of being aloof from others or avoiding people or situations, and yet that's not what detachment is. It also doesn't mean having to be emotionless. It doesn't mean withdrawing from the world. It doesn't even mean being without desires. Sometimes people misunderstand detachment to mean shunning responsibility, relationships, family, and friends. That's not true either. It's also not about being apathetic to the plight of others. So all those are misconceptions about detachment. What then is detachment? The best explanation that I have ever come across about detachment is that it's the art of letting go. Detachment is letting go, trying to overly control people and situations and force outcomes. So here's the thing, rather than killing off your emotions, Paradoxically, detachment puts you in charge of your emotions. The difference is that when you're striving to be in control, you're exerting force. Whereas when you're in charge of your emotions, you're able to exercise choice. You're also able to create freedom for others to choose whatever serves them best without any emotional repercussions between you. So what actually happens when you practice detachment? My books, the Karma and Diamonds trilogy, are in essence a journey of how to sift the gold from our difficult past experiences by identifying less and less with those challenging influences that have shaped us so that we can experience the freedom within of our true inner being. Freedom from being stuck in the past. Freedom from being defined by the impact of situations that are not in your control. I've actually found that the more detached I become from people and situations, the more objective I'm able to be, and the more effectively I can navigate life's challenges, even when it comes to healthy and loving relationships. Continue letting go of expectations and practicing detachment creates the space and freedom for genuine love and intimacy. Rather than being aloof, the practice of detachment allows the deeper connection within your own self and therefore with others. The more detachment you bring, the less mental and emotional clutter you carry around and the lighter you become. This is a lightness that opens you to flashes of new awareness, higher awareness. You become more palpably aware of yourself as the observer, the conscious being, hanging out just behind the veil of thoughts, feelings, emotions, and so on. So detachment is an effective means of getting in touch with that wise, conscious part of you called Atman, the one that's unattached and beyond the drama and machinations of life. Now, you could say that all difficult relationships and situations are merely a medium through which to realize that we need not continue being a reflection of our familiar but limiting, even debilitating past. The more we can keep letting go of whatever we've held to be the absolute truth, the more lightness of being and inner peace can show up. The Vedas tell us that the higher purpose of human life is to live more fully in the world, while at the same time identify less and less with the manifested world, even with our own humanity. Detachment is what makes this possible. It's a means by which you can increasingly align with who you are as consciousness. The consciousness that is untainted by your past experiences so that you can manifest a future that's truly fulfilling. So in a nutshell, practicing the art of letting go of whatever limits us gives us the pathway to fulfilling on what's possible for us. So now that we've explored the compelling concept of detachment and the remarkable impact on our relationships and personal growth, let's shift our focus from the why to the how. We'll dive into 6 practical tips that can guide you in mastering this liberating practice, turning theory into action and philosophy into everyday peace. These practical tips will not only deepen your understanding of detachment, but also empower you to live it, enhancing your life and relationships in profound ways. Before I share these 6 practices, it's worth asking the question though, why do you hang on to unhealthy and even toxic relationships? To those situations that bring you more misery and pain than empower and uplift you? I'll tell you why, and the 6 things that you can do to deal with it. As human beings, we've evolved to seek pleasure and to avoid pain. We've become far too preoccupied with being happy.
Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. High five! Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth.
Even though happiness is a temporary state, no matter how nice it is while it lasts, our desire to be happy leads us to attachment to people and things that give us satisfaction temporarily. People who make us feel loved, wanted, or secure for a while, but perhaps not all the time. This creates a cycle of attachment and consequently of suffering as we become dependent on external sources of validation and pleasure. Research into neuroscience shows that this cycle is driven by the brain's reward system, which releases dopamine in response to pleasurable experiences, reinforcing the behavior that led to them. However, Indian spiritual texts tell us that true happiness and fulfillment come from within, and we must detach from external sources of pleasure to cultivate inner peace and freedom. The practice of detachment is one that India's philosophers recommended well over 5,000 years ago as a way to help us navigate life's ups and downs with greater ease and resilience. Learning to detach from people, situations, and things that no longer serve them is one of the key challenges that I see people face as a transformation coach and even as a yoga teacher. One of the reasons why over-attachment to people can lead us to pain and suffering rather than consistent pleasure that you might like can be explained by something that the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius said. He said, "You want to praise people who kick themselves every 15 minutes, the approval of people who despise themselves." So what he's saying is that you're looking to the wrong sources for your fulfillment and dopamine hits. The Katha Upanishad says it beautifully. As a mirror covered by dust shines brightly when it's cleaned, so the embodied soul, when it's shaken off the dust of attachment, attains to peace. So the sages of ancient India saw attachment as something that keeps you from seeing your true nature. So what things can you actually practice to master letting go of people and things that bring you misery? Here are 6 practices that you can do to become more centered in your own self and therefore less dependent on others for your happiness. I say practices because the act of practicing something takes away the pressure to be perfect, to have it all handled right now. Practicing something, meaning doing something over and over again, helps you to rewire your brain so that in due course you become an altogether different person. The first practice then is this: don't put people on a pedestal, rather be willing to see who they are. Ask yourself, is this person really worth hanging my self-esteem and happiness on? See, even if it's a person that you love the most in the world, remember that they're only human and therefore fallible. The second is some advice from the famous author Paulo Coelho. He said, when you say yes to others, make sure you're not saying no to yourself. Isn't that lovely? When you say yes to others, make sure you're not saying no to yourself. Meaning, while you allow others the space to be who they are, and you might empower and support them, you don't need to sacrifice or diminish yourself in the process. Make sure that your own needs are also taken care of. The third practice is being someone you yourself can trust. Be the one that you yourself can trust. Reach deep into yourself on a daily basis, even as you feel those lesser emotions like the anxiety of uncertainty, difficult emotions, and so on. The fourth is to practice appreciation daily. Appreciation and gratitude are nature's antidepressants. Enjoying and appreciating even your smallest blessings has your brain release dopamine and serotonin, 2 crucial neurotransmitters responsible for enhancing our emotions. They make you feel happy from the inside without the need for attachment to others. This will literally transform you. The Mindful Awareness Research Center of UCLA said that the practice of feeling appreciation daily literally changes the structure of the brain. It creates new neural pathways that strengthen into new habits. Habits to bring in fresh opportunities and people who are better aligned with your vibe. The fifth practice is to let go of forcing outcomes. When you've given something your very best, let it be. Forcing outcomes is a function of being overly attached to the result. The more you can rest in the confidence that whatever the outcome, you will gain, the more relaxed you'll be. You'll either get the result that you want, or you'll get some new insights and opportunity to see what you can alter in your approach the next time and grow from it. In any event, you win. The sixth practice is allowing people to be who they are, but from a place of self-trust. It takes deep confidence to grant people the freedom to do as they please, because they might just show you their true colors. Your job then is to accept what they're showing you for the good of your relationship or otherwise. Either way, it's a practice that grants you having freedom from being overly attached. Ultimately, learning to become savvy at detachment is really about becoming inner directed. Inner directed means developing a steady and healthy relationship with your own self. It's a countable relationship within that provides a solid foundation from which to conduct all other relationships in your life. Relationships with others that are also healthy. So let's recap what those 6 ways are to detach and get to a life of freedom and passion. Number 1, ask yourself, is this person really worth hanging my self-esteem and happiness on? Second, give others the space to be who they are, but don't sacrifice or diminish yourself, and make sure that your own needs are also taken care of. Third, be someone you yourself can trust. Be the one that you yourself can count on. Fourth, make it a reflex to consciously appreciate the people and things in your life every single day. Fifth, stop forcing outcomes and trust the flow of life. And 6, trust yourself. You have the inner strength and the power within you to stand firm in the face of any situation. Being able to trust yourself is a profoundly deep spiritual experience. It's the foundation of your personal freedom. Remember, you are a sparkling diamond. So in the video, I did talk a lot about practice, because practicing something takes away the pressure to be perfect. Well, here come a few moments when I certainly wasn't perfect while I was creating this video. Enjoy. Can become and now I'm going a little bit too fast. Can you just slow it down a little bit? That their emotional needs are likely. They distrusted their child givers in childhood. In my own journey of healing, the impact. I hope you got value from this episode. Namaste. These are meditations all based on real events from my own life, intense, magical moments, transformative experiences that I share with you as guided meditations. And in these meditative journeys, you'll find yourself transcending the activity of your mind, connect with your inner self, clear your karma, expand your consciousness, feel inner peace. And that's what you'll get from my guided meditations. You can also find my meditations on my website, smitajoshi.com, on Insight Timer, Apple Music, and Spotify. One meditation is called Drifting Clouds, Wandering Thoughts. I'll guide you to see that your thoughts, feelings, and emotions are but like transient clouds in the sky, like cotton candy clouds drifting gently through the sky. Your thoughts appear and then float away again. This meditation is a practice of letting go. Another meditation is called Floating on the Ocean, Trusting the Rhythm of Life. This one is about learning to trust yourself, trust that the ocean and the universe take care of you. There's one that's called Star-Studded Sky, and I'll take you on a magical journey through the cosmos, floating among the stars, drifting in infinite tranquility, gliding into a state of pure being. You'll see that you're free to let go of things that no longer serve you, things that keep you from knowing your peace and joy. You'll come back feeling light and free, knowing that you too are made of the stars. The fourth is called Walking the Fire, Clearing Your Karma. It's based on when I did a fire walk by the side of the river Ganges after sunset. Take a magical moment, a moment to let go of your fears, a moment to let go of your karma. And this meditation is more unconventional. It's an active rhythmic meditation. This is a meditation where you'll find yourself feeling free to move your body with its hypnotizing rhythm and surrender to its trance and transcend into a sensible lightness. Free old karma and feel fabulous. Walk the fire with me. Do join me on one of these amazing meditations. Remember that you are a spark of consciousness, a sparkling diamond. Let's listen to a few of these meditation samples. Drifting clouds, wandering thoughts. This meditation is a practice of letting go, of mastering your thoughts with ease. floating on the ocean, trusting the rhythm of life. The clear azure tropical sky lets the sun shine, casting brightness far and wide. A star-studded sky. It's a warm summer's night. The field around you is open and empty. The grass you're lying on feels like a comfortable bed. The fresh fragrance of the grass beneath you slowly rises in the air. Walking the fire, clearing your karma. It's an Indian summer. A warm, perfect evening. Mother Ganges drifts leisurely by in full swing.